So this week at Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference, a new feature of iOS 12 was announced called Memojis, a 3D cartoon head that you can customize to your likeness. Now there's been several videos about this feature, but I wanted to reflect on how this is a game changer for education, and it should help make 3D animations accessible to the masses. I'm Dr. ET, and this is Ed on EdTech. Stay in the know about how the latest news in tech impacts education by subscribing to this channel and turning on notifications. Memoji is certainly not the first personal avatar available. Yahoo 360 had avatars that you could customize and use as profile pictures in their messaging and email systems. But today, 3D avatars are widely adopted in the tech industry. On one hand, we have the realish head and upper body avatars of Oculus venues, and there's also more cartoon approaches like Bitmojis as an augmented reality element in Snapchat. This is part of a broad trend of what I call augmented self-expression, where we now have selfies with filters, text, and now all sorts of 3D effects. I'd like to expand on three aspects that I think are going to be important to education: believability, animation, and identity. Now, in terms of believability, there's a key aesthetic decision that was made with Memoji to use a character that's a cartoon in appearance, yet lifelike in animation. This is no accident. There's a phenomena called the uncanny valley, where a human character becomes less believable the closer we make it to lifelike in appearance. So Memojis take a cue from Pixar animations in that they have very realistic animations, making them very believable despite their cartoonish appearance. So let's compare the different personal avatar styles. Comparing the aesthetics of the 3D avatars in Oculus venues, we have an even more realistic appearance, but their animations are less realistic than those of Memoji. Bitmojis are a bit more cartoonish than Memojis, but the 3D animations are mostly pre-recorded. Samsung Galaxy S9 AR emojis are more realistic than Bitmojis and Memojis, but they're less realistic than Oculus Venue avatars, and today they mostly play pre-recorded animations. A lot of the believability of the character comes from the use of the depth sensor to capture features of the eyes and of the face that make the facial animation a lot more realistic than many of the animations that I've seen out there. Something to keep in mind when making a realistic avatar is that the animation of the character has a big impact on the believability of the character. And I think this is what others are referring to when they refer to avatars as creepy. They are experiencing the uncanny valley of real in appearance, but not real in animation, so they seem creepy. Now, about animation, Memojis are a powerfully creative tool for 3D animation that would normally require you to have markers on your face. Think about the character of Gollum in Lord of the Rings. Making characters move in a realistic way is an extremely difficult thing to animate, even with a puppet. But now all we need to do is speak normally, and many of our facial expressions can be captured in the animation. In the future, I'd fully expect that asking students to create 3D animations for a class assignment won't be a big deal. Right now, you'd need a team of animators to get something realistic, but I expect that it's going to be available to the masses in the near future. I found this decision to only animate the head and have that overlaid on top of your live video in FaceTime quite interesting, because it's hard to capture all aspects of the fingers and the limbs. So this allows you to animate with your body expressions while using the cartoon face. I also found it interesting that Memojis can also be used in FaceTime chat with up to 30 people, because that's about the size of a typical classroom. So it'd be interesting to see like a class chat with avatars to see what they can all do together. Now, a while ago, there was an advertising campaign by Blizzard for World of Warcraft, about how the in-game character was a reflection of people's personalities. I've used something like this for a speech where I talked about how my brother's no mage character in World of Warcraft was a reflection of his personality. Avatars like Bitmoji represent external aspects such as fashion, body language, gender, culture, and more. Kotaku had an article that argued that character is much more than the external appearance. It's a lot more about the personalities and the actions of that person. But to a certain extent, we're wondering if the online character is becoming the modern-day Myers-Briggs, telling us more about the person's personality than we might think at first. There's also a debate in education circles about whether or not your avatar should be considered personally identifiable information, since maybe someone could glean a lot about your personality based on your choice of avatar and accessories. However, there's this 2018 notion that people can identify as pretty much whatever they want. So you don't need your avatar to be yourself. Perhaps you could have a Memoji of a celebrity or a role model. Students could create a Memoji of Indiana Jones exploring the ruins of the Acropolis. So just to recap, 3D animated characters are coming to the masses. How do you think they'll be used in education? Please leave a comment below, and I'll see you in the next one.